Okay, I think I'm live now. Having some connection issues. All right. What's going on, everybody? I'm just going to start in about 30 seconds here. And then anybody who wants to rewatch this can obviously go rewatch this too. Yeah, all of these videos are always saved and recorded onto the YouTube channel. You know what I mean? I'll add it to the playlist too, like the self-development live playlist. Beat Connect. All right, everybody, let's just get into it. Okay, so today's topic for the Capital Hungry Friday Psychology webinar is about fear, okay? And as you can read in the title, this is from a recent movie I watched called Dune, but the title of this webinar is Fear is the Mind Killer. And I'm going to be breaking down fear from a psychological perspective and how there's a lot of real irrational fears in the modern society and modern world that really hinders a person's growth or success in whatever field or avenue they wish to pursue. Okay? So, first, let's start off with bare basics that a lot of people actually overlook and don't understand. So, all of our brains, right? All of our brains have a pre-programming set in place that is this simple. The brain's job, all it has to do is take you to the next day and survive until the next day. Our brains are not pre-programmed to be like economists or to be a business owner or to be an athlete. That is something you have to go and program yourself. The brain's natural programming and very, very simple job it has is to make sure that you make it to the next day in the easiest, simplest, most comfortable fashion possible. Okay? Now, this is something that goes back into historical times and is just a part of human instinct and the way the brain has always behaved, right? And this makes sense because back in the day, when you were fighting for your survival and every single day mattered, whether you got to hunt and get food or get rest in the right area, you were healthy and so forth. Every day you were focusing on constant survival, right? And every day you were also way back then facing a lot of potential threats and dangers to your survival and well-being too. So fear fear is a natural trigger and emotion by your brain to potentially signal you of any danger, stress, tension, challenges, or change, right? But the issue is that fear is good if you are actually facing real danger. Because if you are in real danger, what I like to quantify as like maybe a life or death type of situation, then your brain is going to send signals to you that are going to be translated as fear. So you have either a fight or flight response to that imminent danger and you survive, right? That makes sense. Fear used in that organic sense to avoid actual danger that can potentially kill you or bring harm to your life, fair enough. That is why fear exists, right? But in the modern societies, we are so far away from survival as well as so far away from any real dangers to our livelihood and well-being that a lot of the fear people face is really irrational and it's not any type of imminent danger. The fear signals that your brain is triggering to you is more to stop you from forcing any change, facing any challenges, or bringing any stress and tension to your body. Because remember, the brain has a very, very simple job in its pre-programming. It only has to take you to the next day. That's your brain's job. Your brain is not wired to have you become a mathematician. Your brain is not instinctively programmed to make you a great trader or to be an athlete or to be an entrepreneur. All of that has to be programmed in yourself because at the end of the day, this is a supercomputer that we have control of and we can program accordingly. But the issue is that a lot of these irrational fears that the majority and masses of people face that it doesn't make any sense prevents them from ever taking risks or ever challenging themselves or ever having any growth. Because the majority of fear that I see from the masses of people, right, is simply a fear of failure, right? It's not a fear of life or death situation. It's not a fear of like, I'm not going to have food tomorrow. I'm not going to be able to survive. Somebody's coming after me. There's immediate danger to my livelihood. No, it's usually a fear of being wrong, a fear of failure, a fear of being judged, whether it's by your community group, by your friends, your family, whatever it may be. But when we're going back to the instinctive patterns of the brain, we can easily deduct that this is an irrational fear because it's not really any imminent danger. What your brain is trying to do when it gives you these fear signals is trying to prevent you from going to a path that can potentially bring change, challenge, stress, or tension. Because remember, I'm going to say it again, your brain is pre-programmed to do one thing: take you from today to the next day in the easiest path possible. So how do we see this evident, especially in the modern society, that people fall victim into various behavioral patterns that bring them the most convenience, that bring them the easiest life possible. They don't want to have any stress, they don't want to have any tensions, they don't they don't want to face any hardships because all of that is difficult. They just simply want to make it to the next day as easy as possible. But what this does over a long period of time and continuously repeating is that those bad behavioral habits lead into destroying your well-being in the long term. Because in the modern society, as we are so far away from survival, the easiest things to do in this modern society is to sit around and consume mindless media and nonsense, is to order the most convenient, easy food you can get, whether it's fast food. It's to chase short-term dopamine hits whenever you're feeling sad or depressed. So a constant repetition of these very easy to do tasks that are safe and comfortable and convenient will lead to deteriorating your life. If you constantly follow the fear and follow what is easy and just let your brain take over and do what it's pre-programmed to do, which is survive until the next day, in the modern society, that's going to lead to a deterioration of your brain as you continue to consume mindless content and never learn anything new, never learn any skill sets or bring any knowledge to yourself. It's going to lead to a deterioration of your body as you're not fueling yourself correctly, you're not working out, you're not doing any physical activity to keep yourself in shape. Because why? What's the point? Life's easy now. There's no hardships. We don't gotta do real hard physical labor in the privileged Western side of society. We don't have to go build our own homes. We don't have to go find our own food, go hunt for this. We don't have to do any of that. So people are like, what's the point of being fit? Because their brain is gonna trick them into taking the path of least resistance because the brain's only job is to make it to the next day, right? Okay, that's fine. We can dissect and understand that. But what we can also dissect and understand is that when people fall victim to that fear of failure or to any other type of irrational fear, remember, an irrational fear is a type of fear that is not putting your life in any type of danger. If there's a situation where you're in danger, that's a rational fear, that's a real fear. Listen to your brain signals accordingly and take that fight or flight response and survive and be safe, right? But 90% of people's fears nowadays are completely irrational triggers of the brain to prevent you from bringing any more stress and tension to your day. But what do we also understand? That you cannot develop yourself in any aspect or level of life unless you learn to take on healthy stress or tension. And I always give the example of the gym and working out because it's very easy for people to visually understand. Muscle building is literally done by going to the gym or working out at home, whatever it is, putting your body through stress and tension, tearing down your muscle fibers, then fueling yourself correctly by eating properly, then also resting, and your muscle fibers build back stronger than they were before. So it's a path of stress, tension, delaying instant gratification for your body to adjust to that and come back stronger the next time. That is the simple science behind how muscles grow, get more dense, get stronger. It's simply breaking down your muscle fibers through stress and tension, the stress and tension being the workouts and so forth. And then resting, recouping, and your muscle fibers build back stronger, harder, larger, faster, whatever it may be, right? But think about people who want to go to the gym, who have never been to the gym but want to get in shape because they know psychologically that getting in shape is the best thing that they can possibly do because it's going to bring them more confidence, it's going to make them healthier, better, whatever it is, better self-esteem, physically healthier, more confidence, mental well-being, whatever it may be. But 90% of people have a fear of being judged or a fear of failing at the gym, and that is just their brain triggering them to say, hey, what you're thinking about doing right now is going to really bring us some stress and tension. And the brain goes, I don't want any stress and tension. I don't want any hardships. I don't want any stress and tension. I don't want to grow. I just want to make it to the next day because that's all I'm pre-programmed to do. And the 1% who controls the 99% of the population, the people who run the central banks, the people who run the corporations, big food, big pharma, they understand this human psychology that the brain just simply wants to make it to the next day and follow the path of least resistance. So they market to that. Do you understand? That's why every type of application you see, every type of food product you see, every type of, like, whatever it is, everything is supposed to be more convenient, faster, easier to keep you on that path, but that path fuels their pockets. Do you understand what I'm saying? So people in the world who are running the world, they understand human psychology. They understand how the masses think and why the masses think that way. But what we can deduct and what we can also understand is that constantly living in fear and not challenging yourself and not forcing yourself to grow in various aspects of your life is going to lead to long-term depression as well as not living a fulfilling life, right? This is why you have so many people caught with what we call the masses, the rat race, where every day they're essentially like a zombie. They make it to the next day, but they're depressed, they're unhealthy, they're unfit, they're not confident in themselves, they have low self-esteem, they have very few skill sets, they have very little value and knowledge to share, and over time this completely deteriorates them, where by the time a person goes to retire, they're too old, or even has the money to retire within this system, they're too old, sick, fat to even do anything, and then you go to big pharma and you die. And that is the constant circle of life in the modern society that's been fueling the pockets of the 1% for generations, right? So understanding all that, I know that a lot of people watching and a lot of people out there, they cannot take action or take the first step due to these irrational fears. Okay, so now that we understand the difference between a rational fear, which is perfectly normal, and irrational fears in the modern society, which is not normal, and we should not be listening to irrational fears, right? And we also understand that our brain, unless we program it differently, only has one job: get you to the next day in the easiest, safest fashion possible, which in the modern society means jerking your dick, eating shit food, consuming mindless content, and then going to sleep and going to work and doing it again. And it's scientifically, historically proven that that constant repetition will deteriorate your life, right? It'll absolutely deteriorate your life. So this is where the roadblock comes in, because this is where the roadblock comes in, right? Now, you cannot get out of that vicious cycle unless you take action and start to challenge yourself and put yourself through healthy stress and tension. whether that means you're going to be learning a new skill set. And whenever you go to learn a new skill set, this is going to bring stress and tension to your mind, just like you're working out your muscles when you're going to the gym. Whenever you're learning something new, it's going to stress out, bring tension, tire out your brain because you're actively working your brain to bring in new information, understand it, and learn how to utilize it, right? When you're going to the gym, you're starting a new business, you're learning about trading, you want to get in better shape, you want to eat better, you want to learn how to cook. It doesn't matter. Whenever you want to do something new, people struggle to take action, and if you don't take action, you will never get out of this vicious cycle. But the majority of time why they don't take action is due to an irrational fear. The main fear being a fear of being wrong, a fear of failing, and a fear of judgment. Now that you understand the real instinctive purpose of rational fear, doesn't the fear of being wrong, doesn't the fear of failure or the fear of being judged feel stupid? Do you understand what I'm saying? When you really sit back and think about it, it's like these are not real fears. This is just your brain trying to keep you on the path of least resistance and continuing to feed this infinite cycle of consumerism that continues to make the 1% richer and richer and extend their generational wealth while your bloodline repeats the same shit. My bloodline, your bloodline. Go to school, work some dead-end jobs, work that dead-end job until you're 60. Through that time, have some kids, get a 25-year fucking mortgage, get all this other debt incurred, die, and then your children, their children, they're gonna repeat the same shit. Somebody has to break the cycle, but you cannot break the cycle unless you learn how to conquer fear. So we all have to pull out that little bit of a bane in us and understand that it's okay to be in the darkness. It's okay to be scared of change. But it's the same thing like I was telling you guys in the growth or feelings webinar, right? It's the same thing like I was telling you there. The strategy here is when you feel an irrational fear, you have to be able to intercept that feeling and first acknowledge it. Say, okay, I'm looking to start to go to the gym and I'm a fat ass fuck. I have a fear of being judged. I have a fear of making mistakes, maybe a fear of whatever it may be, right? Or I'm tired of my job, so while I'm still working at my full-time job, I'm gonna go try to learn about the financial markets. But I have a fear of failing, I have a fear of being wrong, and what if it doesn't work out, whatever it may be, right? Those feelings are fine. It's not wrong to feel that way, but first acknowledge it. First say, okay, I am feeling this way when I know that if I go to the gym, it's going to bring value to my life. Or I know that if I go to invest time into learning a new skill set, whether it be computer development, whether it be a physical trade like electrician or carpentry, whether it be learning about the financial markets, I don't give a shit. Whenever you are doing anything new that can potentially bring change, challenge, stress, and tension, your brain is going to send these irrational fear signals, right? Once you understand all this, you can sit back and sort of watch yourself from a bird's eye view and say, look, listen, I'm feeling fearful right now, but let's ask two things. Is this a rational fear or is this an irrational fear? How do I deduct that? The path I'm wanting to take, is it going to put me in any danger? If the answer is no, then it is 100% an irrational fear and your brain trying to prevent you from challenging itself and potentially going down a path of healthy stress, tension, and change, right? Once you ask those questions, then you'll feel a little bit more confident, in my opinion, to say, okay, this is perfectly normal. This is an irrational fear. My brain is doing what it's programmed to do and wants me to take the path of least resistance. It wants to go from point A to point B as easily as possible. Day 1 to day 2, as simple as possible, because that's what it's been pre-programmed to do. But if I don't take action myself, I will never be able to program my brain how I want to, right? So that is my strategy for anybody who has a fear of failure, a fear of being judged, a fear of being wrong when they are trying to learn a new skill or do anything new to their life, that you can logically deduct what you are trying to do will bring value and positive change to your life. You can logically deduct that and say, okay, I want to go to the gym, I want to start a business, I want to XYZ. This logically can potentially bring me more knowledge, bring me more success, bring me a healthier body, bring me a healthier mind. So it's clear that my brain is trying to prevent this because my brain only has one job. Hence why I'm getting these fear signals, right? So step one, let's go start from the very start. You are tired of your life, whatever it may be. You're tired of the way you look. You're tired of the job you work. You're tired of the skill sets you lack, right? You have this sort of wake up call moment and you go, all right, I don't want to be fat anymore. I want to be in shape. As soon as you put yourself in that position, that's where the hurdle's going to come. That's where your brain is going to go, wait a second. A lot of people might judge you at the gym. Are you sure you can even handle this? You might fail. You might get hurt. Are you sure you want to go down this path? Because your brain wants to keep you on the path of least resistance, right? So then, this is where you have to come in and ask those questions. Is this an irrational fear or is this a rational fear? Am I in any imminent danger by wanting to go to the gym and get in better shape or by wanting to learn a new skill set? Or is this just an irrational fear based on my brain trying to keep me on the path of least resistance and also the way modern society has programmed us to stay on a path of convenience, constantly being a consumer, never producing anything anymore, doing what is easy and deteriorating yourself, right? Once you ask yourself that and you can identify it's an irrational fear, then you have to understand you will never be able to break the cycle you are in unless you take that irrational fear, fucking acknowledge it and stare at it and fucking throw it away and say, all right, I'm going to the gym now. I don't care about the judgment anymore. I don't care about potentially being wrong. I know that this is going to lead to a better outcome. And I know that my brain is trying to stop me from this. All right? Because at the end of the day, if you constantly succumb to irrational fears, you are destroying your mind, you are destroying your potential, you are destroying any 1% chance of finding some type of success in your life. And I don't care how you grade success, whether it be, like I said, with your body, your mind, your finances, your spirituality, I don't care. If you cannot face those irrational fears and deduct with reasoning and logic that you need to take action past the fears, you will live a unfulfilling life and you will live a life full of regrets because you will never be able to take action on the dreams and hopes and the way you envisioned yourself in your brain. You will just constantly succumb to those irrational fears and give up. And guess what? When you succumb to the irrational fear, that's another day that you have given to the destructive cycles. Right? Does everybody understand that? I don't want to make these webinars too long. So just a quick summary. Remember, your brain pre-programmed has one job: get you to the next day as easy as possible. There is a natural good fear, which is rational fear, that your brain signals you to either fight or run, fight or flight response. But that rational fear is only classified if your livelihood is in danger. Any other fear that is not putting your life in danger is an irrational fear. It is your brain trying to keep you on the path of least resistance, especially in the modern society where that is what we have been told to do. But we live in a generation where we have the highest rates of obesity. We have the biggest gap between the rich and the poor. We have the highest cases of poverty. We have the highest cases of suicide and depression. So clearly, this cycle is not healthy for our human beings' longevity. You know what I mean? So clearly those irrational fears will, if you keep following and listening to the irrational fears, it's only going to lead to an outcome of destroying your livelihood, slowly destroying your livelihood across the board. Right? So a fear of losing, a fear of being judged, a fear of being wrong when you are learning something new or doing something new, 1000% irrational. Learn how to intercept this thought, learn how to logically reason and ask yourself, is it rational or irrational? Then if it's irrational, work past that fear, because on the other side of fear is potential growth, personal growth, and more awareness. Because remember, this is a snowball effect. Once you start to do this on a consistent basis, your brain will no longer want to trigger those irrational fears because you have reprogrammed your brain to be on a path of fulfillment, of constantly developing yourself, whether it be with knowledge, information, experience, skill sets, your physical well-being, or whatever it may be. But you cannot reprogram yourself if you never take action, and you will never take action if you keep giving up with irrational fears. And it's very easy to fall into the victim of irrational fears in this modern social media, technology crazed society that is literally getting lazier, fatter and fatter, more depressed, dumber, more dependent on the government, and just fucking pretty much useless. You know what I mean? If you want to be that way, by all means, I'm not here to judge anybody's way of life. I'm not here to preach to people on, hey, you have to do this. But the people who follow me, with the small following I have, do not want to live that way. They want to be healthier. They want to be in better shape. They want to have more confidence. They want to be confident in their knowledge, in their experience. They want to have more financial freedom. They want to be able to help their family, help their friends. They want to be a good influence to the people around them. They want to live a fulfilling life. Right? So that is a quick little webinar there, 25 minutes. Fear, irrational fear is the destroyer of minds. Irrational fear is a mind killer. And we know that repetition following irrational fear, it's not a pretty outcome. All right. So if anybody has any questions, let me know now. Otherwise, I'm going to save and upload this webinar. I don't want to make these too long. And I know, because it's perfectly normal. We all go through it. I know that majority of people's trouble with taking action is a fear of failure, a fear of being judged. And in some type of variation, it falls into those two categories. Fear of being judged by your family, friends, social group, circle, fear of failure, fear of being wrong. And those are all irrational. Those are all mind killers. You know what I mean? You can intercept your brain and make the active choice to acknowledge that and work past it. And once you start doing that, nothing can stop you. Once you start fucking doing that, you don't have to be a billionaire, you don't have to be a millionaire, you don't have to be a fucking Mr. Olympia, you don't have to be a successful huge business owner, but once you get on that path of facing those irrational and inadequate fears, nothing can stop your momentum. All right. Yeah. Okay, everybody. The questions, what to do with my fear, or just execute with my, what do you mean? You don't have to do anything with your fear. You just have to acknowledge it and then work towards the actions and events that you know are going to bring value to your life. If you can identify the fear as irrational, you don't have to do anything with it. You fucking toss it to the side. So it's another chemical trigger in your brain, like sadness or depression or anxiety, right? Okay, everybody. No flexing. No flexing today. No flexing today. All right, everybody. A lot of these questions are a little bit too like Mickey Mouse shit. You guys gotta focus on the universal concept and start applying it. You guys are asking real Mickey Mouse type of questions that are gonna stop you from like even taking any steps. You know what I mean? Focus on the bigger picture. I'll see you guys later. I hope you enjoy the webinar. All right. Thank you guys for the support. I love the community. You know what I mean? We're all just trying to keep each other on the up and up. And make sure you guys rewatch it, share it around. Take care, everybody.